business from Salomon is super simple. I really like it because it's clear, it's not complicated at all, and it gives concrete examples. And I think that that's the way we learn, okay, with concrete examples. So I'm talking about chapter 4 of Better Business, which is called Business in a Global Economy. Basically what we are doing, okay? So they deal with globalization. What is it? International trade. Protectionism versus free trade. Protectionism, command economies do that all the time, okay? Versus free trade, like market economies. Conducting business internationally. And then we have economic factors and some challenges in the international business scene. And how can you create successful international business? That's going to be related more towards our module 4, module 5, okay? What strategy are we going to use? So is it going to be a joint venture, for instance, or not? And taking into account many, many different aspects. So why don't we start with some of the questions I proposed and see your answers. Student 1, question 1. Can you read for me?
Okay, number 1. What are the implications of the globalization of a market and globalization of product production? So I got the national market is emerging, right, into one big market. For example, like we used to have American products, Japanese products, German products, but now you can get those products because they have factories all over the world now. We don't just get that product from that one country. For example, German, right, BMW. Before, you have to order it and get it from Munich, right, because they have that big factory in Munich. But now they have the identical factory in the UAE, which is Dubai. So you can also get a BMW from there, right? But it's still a German product. It's just made in the UAE with a German factory, right? To make that possible, like to make the marketing to be global market, it's come from the communications are better, which is like now we can be 2 places in the world and have a face-to-face conference through a video conference. And the transportations are better, which we can move mass amount of product at a faster time to any location that we want. Also, they also talk about the trade barrier between countries, which is it's easier now, even though with the strict law and stuff, but it's easier to go through it now because of the communications are faster. Like we don't have to wait months and months for a reply because nowadays emails are quick. We have overnight service for document.
Okay, so here, let's see, globalization of markets by one way and of the production. So when we start with production, to me, things pretty simple, right? Mm-hmm. So we can have a product, okay, that is actually produced in many countries by one company.
Right.
Yeah? So if we think of globalization of products, think about the Airbus. Look at the Airbus. The Airbus is like an enormous plane, okay, that was constructed, I believe, in
many different countries.
26 different countries. And in this place, because they were the best, okay, so we're talking about clustering. Who are the best at assembling this part? This is in this region of Germany, München. So we're going to get that part of the production done there. But maybe the Indians are very good in IT, and all the digital parts are going to be produced in India. Oh, but the Airbus is like especially European countries, okay? But that could be the case. While globalization of markets, before it was only my local market and international market. Can you explain to me more what do you mean with globalization of markets? Because here I don't see it much.
Globalization of markets.
I have one market.
Right.
I have, one market, my product and services like McDonald's. I don't think like that. It's about McDonald's, right? Okay? So it's international. I'm not just thinking about, oh, here and there. No, I'm thinking about McDonald's. I'm going to sell this hamburger all over the world. So it's not so much about about many different type of products. One product, and I'm in a global market. It's not just my country and your country. It's like this product is going to be
Franchise.
everybody going to love that one. Franchise is one way of saying that. Okay. Another way of doing that is like you can as well do some modifications when we talk about that. They say like think globally and act locally. So that's why I gave you the example of McDonald's, because they tailored a little bit their products. It's international, like the real, what is like the main product of the star product of McDonald's?
Hamburger, right?
What hamburger?
Big Mac.
Big Mac. Burger King is burger. So the Big Mac is a Big Mac. It doesn't matter if I go to India or if I come here, right? Big Mac is Big Mac. Now, if I want to think locally, I'm going to adapt certain product. So the pie, we have here in Hawaii the lily koi pie. I've never had lily koi pie in England. But when I was living in England, I was working at Burger King the first summer. As a teenager, I arrived there. And I was surprised that they had so many vegetarian menus and fish menus that at the time, I'm talking about 2000, 1999, we didn't have that in Spain. Or in Spain, at McDonald's, you can drink beer or wine. You don't have that here in America, right? So it's like a global market that I can have certain adaptations depending on where I am, if I decide to. Okay, so the globalization of market is not anymore my market and your market. No, one product, one type of services that is going to be globalized. The other thing of globalization of products, it's like a whole automobile, for instance, is assembled in this place and this piece is in that. So the production is totally outsourced. Okay, very like distributed. So it's not just only made in America. That can be the case, but many ways, right? It's like this thing is done in Turkey, this other part is done in India, this other part is done in Mexico. That happens with Zara. I don't know if you have heard of Zara. It's like one of the most important fashion industries. But Inditex is the big company, all right?
The owner of Zara is one of the richest men
in the world. And yeah, correct. So that's what they do. They get like the design is done in Spain and in Milan as well. They have as well some designers that are stationed in Japan. Basically, Spain, Milan, Japan, those three. Okay, Spain. That's the design. But where do they get like the material? Get the material maybe from India, or this part is done in Mexico. They work a lot with Mexico or Morocco, okay? And they assemble everything close to where they're going to sell that. So if it's Zara in the States, they're assembling things in Mexico. They're putting the clothes together, close to the market. That's their strategy. That's why they change their clothing every 15 days. It's fast, it keeps on changing, and you can only do that if it's relatively distant clothes. So what about that jacket that is sold in Paris, that assembled, okay, is done in Morocco, okay? So that's the strategy. Okay, one product but it's done in different places. Different pieces are done in different places, but it's the same, very same company. Very good.
Why has globalization accelerated rapidly? It's because the dramatic decline of government restrictions allowed the flow of products in other countries from one country to another, just like you explained it already. A company may design a product, in one country, and then parts be manufactured from another country, assemble the product in another part of the country, and the product will be marketed all over the world.
Okay, and this is as you are commenting, because there are not so many restrictions. So if we think about a less globalized markets, we can think about markets that are governed by a command economy. Okay, everything is centralized, so there are a lot of restrictions, and there are a lot of as well a barrier, tariff,
Right.
okay, restriction, not tariff but tariff, a lot of taxes that they have to, a lot of red tape, a lot of, but nowadays, as you are saying, it's descending in a very, very, very rapid way.
By having like a free trade agreement from other regions
Mm-hmm.
in the world, that's when they had it. The restriction was allowed. I mean, more slack than before.
And why is that possible? Because as well, okay, the innovations, technological
The
innovation.
other
Can you
part-
read that?
Yeah, the other part of
Yes.
that question is the technological innovations. The advancement of technology made it possible for management and leaderships to manage global production and marketing the products. A breakthrough in communication, transportation, IT structure made it possible for managers from one country to other parts of the world. Products could be marketed through web browsing and be paid through online banking by using the internet and other media.
Very good. Yeah. So we have technological changes that are easier to communicate, like physically, the transportation, but as well in a digital way. So I remember that when I worked at San Lucar Fruits, okay, that's a German headquarters in Spain, but it's a German company. And we were dealing with South Africa, all over the world, basically Costa Rica, we had base in Costa Rica. So we had our employees who were based in Costa Rica, in Chile as well. So we're importing grapes and we were selling them to other European countries, for instance, South Africa. So especially with South Africa, we had like a good relationships, and we used to work a lot with them. And it was not that easy with the timing, but it was better now because we didn't have to travel there to meet those people. We were able to do teleconferencing, even though we have some difficulties, and we will work on an activity and preparing. I have prepared about teleconferencing. Okay, challenges that you may have from the time, ways of communicating, etc. But yeah, that allows definitely to do that. Thank you so much.
And what are the costs and benefits of international trade? With free trade, there are some positive results from the introduction of foreign companies and products. First and probably biggest is the higher standard of living that is born of more variety and amounts of goods available. Also raising the standard of living is the higher quality goods at lower prices. The new competition often increases quality of goods and lowers prices as well. On the downside, foreign competition can bring new challenges and increased pressure on domestic business. Domestic business that fails to adapt and remain competitive can see dramatic decreases in market share or even be driven completely out. The bottom line is that while the benefits are great and the risks seem reasonable, it may not always be obvious, especially in the short term, whether international trade is a benefit or not.
I like that part you are talking about the increased pressure on domestic business.
Yes.
Give me one example. You guys, think about an example of
One of the
this.
examples in the book, I forget exactly what the business was, but it was a American company that was gonna be suddenly facing competition from South American and another company from India that do the same thing. So the business owner ordered new machines and got more training and upgraded his company's ability. And rather than just stick to what he was doing before and hoping that he could weather the competition coming from outside, he looked into expanding into their markets as well with his US grown products, grown and produced products becoming more valuable where these people's products were from, and at the same time trying to source cheaper materials
Okay.
from the South American and the Indian companies as well to bring down his prices, so he would now expand and have two product lines, his Made in America,
Yeah.
high price one, and then his
So that would be like actually a benefit of the international trade. Something that was cost that was like decreasing. Oh, it's like when they say right now with the robotics, or like we cannot compete with the salaries. You were mentioning before, right, about the Philippines. What was your example? You said about the cost of an operator.
Right.
Say that again, please.
So, like, if, let's say the third party operators may have a cheaper labor, cheaper garments, cheaper textile, so they can make clothes for fashion that can be marketed in other parts of the world.
So what, like 1 hour, the cost of that employee, okay, per hour,
So
it was the
labor-
equal 10 hours of an employee.
That's
in-
I
it was
think that's
you-
a sample.
Hmm?
Like a labor, an hour worth of labor in this country may be equivalent to 10 labor hours in one country.
Correct. And now the thing is like, hey, we are having as well every time like more skillful labor workers abroad as
Right.
well. We've got to take that into account. But on the other hand, we can be participants, take advantage of that and offer something that they don't have. We can, like maybe here in America, like that example, make sure we get like the latest or like robotics or machineries that I'm going to need less workers that are going to do that. But the workers that I have are going to offer something different that the other workers do not. Where I'm going to put the value, maybe it's going to be on the design. Maybe I'm going to put like Made in America, certain parts of Made in America, designed in the USA. Because now it's getting more valued, right, nowadays. So there are other tactics of getting that cost or disadvantage that we may have locally because we are competing with like other big companies abroad.
There's also the whole people want what they don't have thing,
Yeah.
where like Americans want to buy German cars and Japanese cars, but in Japan they all want these old American cars,
Right.
the Corvettes and the Fords,
Yeah.
you know, because that's different to them versus, you know,
Or
we
something.
think of Ferrari's exotic, they think of Corvette's exotic.
Yeah, we think that English accent is exotic, and when you are in England, they don't think that. It's true. No, but it's yeah, you're right. You're right. There are certain things that we have value. Okay.
Want me to read that?
Yes.
Okay, what are the three basic strategies of international business? Multi-domestic, global, and transnational.
Okay. So, multi-domestic. Let's go for it.
The multi-domestic strategy sacrifices efficiency in favor of maximizing local responsiveness by customizing their own products and services to fit in with the local culture. For instance, an American TV network that has 20 shows currently on air in the U.S. may only offer a few of those in a particular country or market. Another example would be Will and Grace would probably never be shown in Russia.
What, Will and Grace?
Yeah, I mean Russia's policies and
But Will and Grace is like some comic. Are they like heavy metals? They like.
no, I mean I think
It's about a gay man and his straight female best friend.
Rumi.
and
Ah.
Russia.
Several of the characters are gay and Russians.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Putin has created like laws against
Yeah.
like anti-gay laws and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They're not, that culture's not in favor of that.
Well, Jamaica is very
So is that.
anti.
Certain countries
In general, certain countries in Africa too. Jamaica is big on
And then of course
against.
McDonald's, another one would be.
McDonald's menu offer in Hawaii compared to New York. So that's multi-domestic strategy. Okay, that
I
is.
mean, like they're fit into local culture where
Hmm.
you get rice. You're not gonna,
Sausage,
yeah,
and
you're not gonna
rice.
get that in New York. Probably.
No, you're not.
Or like bulgogi burger in South Korea.
Question.
Okay, so and the McDonald's over there has bulgogi burger.
Or egg burger.
Yeah, they put egg on it and everything.
Egg
Another
burger.
black burger.
Yeah. Okay. What is the global?
It's pretty much the opposite of domestic in that the global strategy favors efficiency over what the local requirements may require, or the local culture wants, or what have you. So, for example, the product sold here in the U.S. is the same exact product sold in every market that it's in. An example would be like Tabasco, Tabasco sauce. That bottle, it doesn't change just because it's being sold in England.
Okay, so usually when we talk about global strategy, it's like you cannot vary that much, or your strategy is like, I'm going to use a single product, for instance, and that single product, not modification, so barely any modification, and it's gonna be sold everywhere. So all those like raw materials, when I was working in like fresh produce, what can you do with that, right? It's an orange from Valencia, Spain, is going to be sold in California, oranges from California, but they are sold from Valencia, Spain. Oranges from Valencia, Spain are the same orange is being sold in Mexico, okay? Same product. So with that type of product. And now, if we want to like really tailor, when we do tailor a lot and we modify a lot, the products or the services we are offering, we are talking about what? Is there any?
Say that again.
If we are really tailoring
Mm-hmm.
our product, that could be multi-domestic, transnational, or global.
It depends on if that tailoring is also offered in other countries. I mean, it can be both multi-domestic or transnational.
Okay, let me see. Okay, as an example. That'd be like more like multi-domestic, but transnational. Can you read this one?
Transnational strategy is pretty much the multi-domestic strategy and global strategy put together, trying to find the middle ground between those two. And my example on that is like Nestle Candy Bar Company. Their candy bar Butterfinger could be sold just in North America, but may not be offered in any other country. Another example would be like Kit Kat green tea. You see it out here in like Pacific and Japan and stuff, but it may not be offered on mainland.
You know what? Yeah, that could be like the less in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
That's idealistic and that'll be nice in between one or the other, but it's not that practical. Usually they use more towards like global strategy or multi-domestic. And when we talk about multi-domestic, it may change, okay? Multi-domestic is like McDonald's. We have tailoring certain products like the the product of Hawaii, the pie, lily koi pie, right? Here in Hawaii. But we are offering jamón serrano in Spain, and they don't have like jamón serrano here. They do that even in McDonald's. That
But
could be
only
multi-domestic.
a company that is,
Yeah.
what is it? That has locations or business in other countries can use the transactional strategy? Meaning like, something here, like your factory, everything's made here, but it's just shipped out and sold by, I don't know, other distributors or buyers in other countries? That wouldn't make it a transnational strategy, would it? Like McDonald's exists in every, I mean, bunch of countries.
Yeah, but well, I'm thinking, how do you call that company of like whole world? The ones that they do like the cards to write beautiful cards.
Cards?
Cards when like a card like a postcard or like a
Hallmark?
Christmas card.
Hallmark card?
Yeah. Maybe they can use kind of maybe like that transnational. I'm thinking because like in France, for instance, their cards were like a big disaster first because they were using just a global strategy, same type of cards. But in France or in other countries like in Spain, you prefer cards that are like might be beautiful outside, but you don't have anything written inside. So you don't have the sections that you have here or in Germany. For the father, for when you are, for the grandpa, for your grand uncle, for your 5-year-old kid, for the 6-year-old kid, for the girl, for the, I mean, transgender maybe nowadays. You know that would be like so many and over there it does not work. It does not work because people are more traditional. If you send a card, when you do that, you do it handwritten. And you don't send so many cards as here. It's another culture. All right. So maybe for them it would be good to use that maybe transnational. But I'm telling you, that would be more towards multi-domestic. It's in reality, in real terms, it's not used that much. It does exist. Final question.
That was it.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
And that's it. Final question.
What economic factors and challenges play a role in conducting business on a global scale? With differences in currency exchange rates factors. The same product could be cheaper or more expensive depending on currency used to pay for it. Also, the level of economic development in a given country determines the ease of international growth. Also, location plays a key role as well. The majority of products are delivered by shipping when going from one continent to the next. Having a country or business that is near a major shipping port or international airport helps tremendously. Also, political policies in place. Some countries may ban products or make it extremely difficult to develop business within its borders.
Like currency exchange.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That we will have a concrete case. Okay, in the book about when do you do business between like do you operate in pesos from like Mexico pesos or and the other company is an Italian company that operates in euros. So once you made at the very like toward the beginning, okay, we are going to operate on this currency independently on how up and down it goes, right? And the currency, I mean the euro, was exchanged with dollars. So it can be beneficial for one side, one party, or for the other. So we have to take that into account. Or maybe we can operate in yen. Some people operate in a third currency that is very, very stable and is not going to affect us so much directly. That's another strategy, not only in dollars, for instance, USA dollars and euros. All right, the other one, the development, economic development, of course, if we are talking about a emerging market, for instance. Okay. So that's economic growth. And then you're talking about transportation as well. Okay, location. Uh-huh. Good. Very good, guys.